The Vorthak Empire ruled over 47 star systems with an iron fist. Their massive warships painted red and black dominated the space lanes, and their soldiers marched on 1,000 conquered worlds. For 300 years, no enemy had ever defeated them in battle. They crushed rebellions before they could begin and destroyed entire civilizations that dared to resist their rule. Admiral Marcus Blackwood stood on the command bridge of his flagship, the Versus Dominion. He was a tall man with gray hair and cold blue eyes that had seen the destruction of countless worlds. Battle scars crossed his face, souvenirs from the many wars he had won for the Empire. Today, he watched his tactical screens with growing annoyance. Another human ship had entered Vorthak space. It was small and slow, moving on primitive chemical rockets like all Earth vessels. The humans had been sending these diplomatic ships for months, always carrying the same boring messages about peace and friendship. Blackwood found their persistence irritating. "Sir, the human vessel is requesting permission to dock at Station Omega-7, reported Commander Hayes from the communications console. Hayes was one of the few humans who served in the Vorthak military, having joined them 20 years ago when Earth was still unknown to most of the galaxy. Blackwood did not even look up from his screens. "Denied. Destroy it." "Sir, they are carrying diplomatic flags. They claim to have messages from their government." "I do not care what flags they carry or what messages they bring. These insects need to learn that the Vorthak Empire does not negotiate with primitive species. Fire on that ship immediately." The weapons officer pressed a button on his console. A beam of red energy lanced out from the Dominion and struck the small human ship. The vessel exploded in a brief flash of light, leaving only glowing debris floating in space. Blackwood smiled with satisfaction. This was the 7th human diplomatic ship he had destroyed in the past month. Each time, Earth sent another one, and each time he blew it to pieces. The humans never learned. "That should teach them," he said to his bridge crew. "Perhaps now they will understand that their kind is not welcome in civilized space." But something unexpected happened. Instead of the usual silence from Earth, every communication array across the Vorthak Empire suddenly came alive. The message was broadcast on all frequencies in perfect Vorthak language. "This is Admiral James Mitchell of the United Earth Navy. Your unprovoked attacks on our diplomatic vessels constitute an act of war. You have 72 hours to surrender unconditionally and submit to Earth jurisdiction. Refuse, and face the consequences." The bridge fell silent for a moment. Then Blackwood began to laugh. His officers joined in, their laughter echoing through the command center. The idea of primitive humans threatening the mighty Vorthak Empire was the funniest thing they had heard in years. "Did you hear that?" Blackwood wiped tears from his eyes. "The humans think they can make demands of us. What will they attack us with? Their cargo ships? Their mining vessels?" Commander Hayes looked uncomfortable. "Sir, perhaps we should take this seriously. Earth has been isolated for centuries. We do not know what weapons they might have developed." Blackwood's laughter stopped immediately. His eyes turned cold as ice. "Are you questioning my judgment, Commander?" Hayes quickly shook his head. "No, sir, of course not." "Good. Because any officer who shows sympathy for these insects will find himself floating in space alongside them." Blackwood turned to his communications officer. "Send a reply on all human frequencies. Tell them the Vorthak Empire does not negotiate with primitive species. Tell them to come and die." The message was sent immediately. Blackwood expected the humans to respond with more empty threats or perhaps complete silence. Instead, they sent back a single word, "Acknowledged." For 3 days, nothing happened. Blackwood began to relax, thinking the humans had finally understood their place in the galaxy. His massive fleet continued its patrol routes, showing the Imperial flag to remind subject species of their masters. Then the long-range sensors detected something impossible. "Sir," called the sensor operator, his voice shaking slightly. "We have a contact at the edge of our space. Single vessel, unknown configuration." Blackwood moved to the sensor station and looked at the display. A single ship had appeared from the direction of Earth. It was unlike anything in their databases, sleek and black, about the size of a heavy cruiser but with energy readings that made no sense. "Analysis," he demanded. The tactical officer studied his screens with confusion. "The energy signature is off the charts, sir. The ship appears to be using some kind of technology we have never seen before. Its hull material is absorbing our sensor beams." "Impossible. No primitive species could develop technology superior to ours." Blackwood stared at the mysterious vessel on his screen. Something about it made him feel uneasy for the first time in decades. "Sir, We are receiving a transmission from the unknown vessel. Put it through. The main screen flickered, then showed the bridge of the human ship. A woman in a dark blue uniform stood at the center, her face calm but her eyes burning with controlled anger. Behind her, Blackwood could see advanced displays and equipment that looked far more sophisticated than anything the Empire possessed. I am Captain Emma Clark of the United Earth Navy vessel Indomitable. You murdered our diplomats and ignored our warnings. Now you face the consequences of your actions. Blackwood found his voice. One ship against the entire Vorthak Empire? You humans truly have lost your minds. The human captain smiled, but there was no warmth in her expression. We shall see, Admiral. We shall see. The transmission ended, leaving Blackwood staring at a blank screen and wondering what he had gotten himself into. The UES Indomitable moved through space like a shadow made solid. Its black hull seemed to drink in the starlight, making it nearly invisible against the cosmic backdrop. Captain Emma Clark stood in the center of her command bridge, watching the tactical displays with the calm focus of a predator stalking its prey. Clark had volunteered for this mission the moment she learned about the massacre of Earth's diplomatic vessels. She was 42 years old, a veteran of humanity's secret wars against pirates and slavers in the outer systems. Her crew trusted her completely, and she had never lost a battle. Captain, we are detecting multiple Vorthak patrol vessels moving to intercept us, reported Lieutenant Oliver Stone from his navigation console. 23 ships total, including 2 heavy cruisers. Let them come, Clark replied without emotion. Mr. Bennett, status report on all systems. Chief Engineer Robert Bennett's voice came through the ship's communication system. Quantum fold drives are running perfectly, Captain. Adaptive shielding is online and ready. The AI core has finished analyzing all known Vorthak technology. We are ready for combat. The Indomitable was humanity's greatest secret. For 200 years, while the galaxy saw humans as simple traders and explorers, Earth scientists had been working on revolutionary technology. They had cracked the secrets of quantum mechanics, developed artificial intelligence that could think faster than any biological mind, and created weapons that could bend the laws of physics. The ship's quantum fold drives allowed it to exist in multiple dimensions at the same time. Its adaptive shields could analyze incoming weapons and become immune to them within seconds. Most importantly, its AI core could study enemy technology and turn it against them instantly. Captain, incoming transmission from the lead Vorthak vessel, announced Communications Officer Lisa Harper. Put Admiral Blackwood through. The main screen flickered to life, showing the scarred face of the Vorthak commander. His eyes were full of contempt and confidence. Behind him, Clark could see the busy bridge of his massive flagship. I am Admiral Marcus Blackwood of the Vorthak Empire, he announced with arrogance. You will power down your weapons and prepare to be boarded. Your primitive vessel will be destroyed if you resist. Clark stepped forward, her hands clasped behind her back. I am Captain Emma Clark of the United Earth Navy. You have murdered innocent diplomats and declared war on humanity. Today, you face justice. Blackwood laughed loudly. Justice? From one small ship against 23 of our finest vessels? You humans are even more foolish than I thought. We shall see about that, Admiral. Indeed we shall. I will make your death quick as a reward for your courage. Blackwood's expression turned cruel. Attack formation. Destroy that ship. The transmission ended. Clark turned to her tactical officer with a slight smile. Mr. Williams, show them what Earth technology can really do. Target all enemy vessels. Lieutenant David Williams worked at his console with practiced efficiency. Targeting solutions locked on all 23 ships, Captain. The AI has analyzed their shield frequencies and weapon systems. They are completely defenseless against our technology. Fire when ready. What happened next defied everything the Vorthak knew about space combat. The Indomitable seemed to shimmer and divide, creating ghostly copies of itself that appeared throughout the battle area. Each copy was real, existing in a different quantum state, but all controlled by the same AI consciousness. 23 copies of the human ship fired simultaneously. 23 perfectly aimed shots struck 23 Vorthak vessels at exactly the same moment. The enemy weapons passed harmlessly through the quantum echoes of the Indomitable, unable to lock onto targets that existed in multiple dimensions. Admiral Blackwood watched in horror as his entire fleet simply vanished. One moment they were there, the next they were expanding clouds of glowing gas. His own ship, the mighty Dominion, lasted 3 seconds longer than the others before it too was reduced to atomic particles. The quantum echoes of the Indomitable faded away, leaving only the original ship floating peacefully in space. Not a single scratch marked its hull. Captain Clark opened a communication channel to the remaining Vorthak forces in nearby systems. She knew they would be watching through long-range sensors, trying to understand what had just happened. This is Captain Clark to all Vorthak military units. Your Admiral Blackwood and his entire fleet have been destroyed. This is your only warning. Surrender immediately or share their fate. The response came quickly. Dozens of Vorthak ships throughout the system began emergency jumps to hyperspace, fleeing in all directions. Some were so panicked they forgot to plot safe courses and disappeared into hyperspace storms. Lieutenant Stone looked up from his navigation console with amazement. Captain, our sensors show massive energy spikes across the entire system. The remaining Vorthak forces are retreating at maximum speed. Good. Set course for the Vorthak capital system. Maximum speed. Aye, Captain. Chief Engineer Bennett's voice came through the communications again. Captain, the quantum drives performed flawlessly. We can maintain multiple dimensional states for extended periods without strain. The AI core has already begun analyzing the data from the destroyed Vorthak ships. Clark nodded with satisfaction. Excellent work, everyone. We have sent the Empire a clear message, but this is only the beginning. They have 4 to 6 more star systems and thousands of ships. We need to move quickly before they can organize a proper response. As the Indomitable jumped into hyperspace, heading toward the heart of the Vorthak Empire, Captain Clark allowed herself a small smile. The galaxy was about to learn that humanity was no longer the weak species it pretended to be. The Vorthak Empire had awakened a sleeping giant, and now they would face the consequences of their arrogance. One human ship had just destroyed an entire fleet without taking a single hit. Soon, the Empire would learn what real power looked like. The war had truly begun. Admiral Marcus Blackwood was dead, his flagship destroyed along with his entire patrol fleet. The news spread through the Vorthak Empire like wildfire, causing panic among military commanders who had never known defeat. General William Carter, Blackwood's replacement, sat in his command chair aboard the Versus Thunder, staring at the reports with disbelief. 23 warships had been destroyed by a single human vessel in less than 30 seconds. The tactical recordings made no sense. The human ship had somehow appeared in multiple places at once, firing weapons that passed through Vorthak shields like they were made of paper. General, we have priority communications from High Command, reported his aide, Lieutenant Grace Turner. The Emperor demands immediate action against the human vessel. Carter rubbed his tired eyes. He had been awake for 18 hours, trying to understand what had happened to Blackwood's fleet. What does His Majesty suggest we do? Send more ships to be destroyed? Sir, intelligence believes the human ship used some kind of holographic projection technology. They think it created fake copies of itself to confuse our sensors. And the weapons that ignored our shields. Turner looked uncomfortable. They have no explanation for that, sir. Before Carter could respond, his communications officer called out urgently. General, we are receiving distress signals from the Kepler mining system. They report the same human vessel is attacking their facilities. Carter looked at his star charts in confusion. That is impossible. Kepler is 300 light-years from where Blackwood was destroyed. No ship can travel that distance so quickly. Sir, the attacks are happening right now. Real-time transmissions show the same black vessel destroying our mining stations one by one. Carter felt a cold chill run down his spine. If the human ship was attacking Kepler, then it had somehow traveled faster than any known technology allowed. But before he could process this information fully, another officer shouted from across the bridge. Emergency transmission from the Titan shipyards. The human ship is attacking our construction facilities. What? Carter jumped from his chair and rushed to the tactical display. The Titan shipyards were in the opposite direction from Kepler, nearly 400 light-years away. Show me the transmission. The main screen flickered to life, showing the massive orbital shipyards where the Empire built its largest warships. The same sleek black vessel was moving through the construction bays like a ghost, its weapons turning billion-credit dreadnoughts into scrap metal. Each shot was perfectly placed, hitting critical systems and causing the massive ships to explode. This cannot be happening, Carter whispered. No ship can be in 2 places at once. But the reports kept coming. The human vessel was simultaneously attacking military bases in the Centauri system, destroying supply depots near Proxima Station, and eliminating communication arrays in the Outer Rim territories. Each attack showed the same impossible ship using the same devastating weapons. Lieutenant Commander Thomas White, the fleet's tactical expert, approached Carter with a pale face. "Sir, I have been analyzing all the attack reports. The human ship is not just in multiple locations. According to our sensors, it is attacking 17 different targets across 12 star systems at exactly the same time." "That violates every law of physics we know," Carter said weakly. "Yes, sir. It does." Carter watched helplessly as more red warning lights appeared on his tactical display. Each light represented another military installation under attack by the impossible human ship. Supply lines were being cut, shipyards destroyed, and communication networks eliminated with surgical precision. "Sir," Turner said quietly, "intelligence reports suggest the humans have developed some form of quantum technology that allows them to exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously. They are not creating copies of their ship. They are somehow making their ship real in many places at once." The general felt his world collapsing around him. The mighty Vorthak Empire, which had conquered dozens of civilizations, was being systematically destroyed by a single enemy vessel that seemed to mock the laws of reality itself. "General, incoming priority message from Emperor Valdris," announced the communications officer. The Emperor's face appeared on the screen, his usually calm expression replaced by barely controlled fury. "General Carter, explain to me how one primitive human ship is destroying my empire." Carter straightened his uniform, trying to project confidence he did not feel. "Your Majesty, we are dealing with technology beyond anything we have encountered. The human vessel appears to use some form of quantum manipulation that allows it to dash." "I do not want explanations," Valdris roared. "I want results. Mobilize every available fleet. Find this ship and destroy it." "Sir, with respect, our conventional weapons appear to be useless against their technology. Perhaps we should consider negotiation. Never." The Emperor's eyes blazed with anger. "The Vorthak Empire does not negotiate with insects. Find a way to destroy that ship or I will find a general who can." The transmission ended, leaving Carter alone with his impossible situation. Around him, his officers watched with growing fear as more reports of destruction poured in. The human ship was everywhere at once, striking with perfect coordination and devastating effectiveness. "Sir," White said carefully, "at this rate, our military infrastructure will be completely destroyed within 72 hours. We are facing an enemy with technology so advanced that resistance may be futile." Carter looked at the tactical display showing the spreading destruction across the Empire. Red warning lights blinked like funeral candles, each one representing years of construction and billions of credits reduced to wreckage by the ghostly human vessel. For the first time in his military career, General William Carter began to understand what it felt like to be hunted by a superior predator. The empire that had terrorized the galaxy for centuries was now the prey, and their hunter was unstoppable. The hunt had indeed begun, but they were not the hunters. Emperor Valdris paced back and forth in his golden throne room, his royal robes trailing behind him like the wings of a dying bird. 3 weeks had passed since the human ship first appeared, and his mighty empire was falling apart faster than he could comprehend. The walls of his palace shook with each footstep, matching the trembling of his hands as he read the latest reports. General Patricia Davis stood at attention near the massive throne, holding a datapad filled with casualty numbers that grew larger every hour. She was one of the few humans who had risen to high rank in the Vorthak military, earning her position through decades of loyal service. Now she watched her emperor with a mixture of pity and professional concern. "Your Majesty," Davis said carefully, "the latest reports from our remaining fleets." Valdris snatched the datapad from her hands, his eyes scanning the numbers with growing horror. 800 military installations destroyed. 15 major shipyards reduced to floating debris. The 2nd, 4th, and 7th fleets completely eliminated. All by a single human warship that seemed to exist everywhere at once. "Where is General Carter?" Valdris demanded, his voice cracking with strain. "Dead, Your Majesty," Davis replied. "The human ship caught his fleet in the Sigma Quadrant yesterday morning. The Versus Thunder was destroyed along with every other vessel under his command. No survivors." The Emperor threw the datapad across the room, where it shattered against a marble pillar. "How is this possible? We have the most powerful military in the galaxy. Our ships number in the thousands." General Michael Brown stepped forward from the shadows near the throne room entrance. He was the head of Imperial Intelligence, a man who had spent his entire career gathering secrets from across the galaxy. His face looked 10 years older than it had 3 weeks ago. "Your Majesty," Brown said quietly, "our analysis teams believe we are facing technology that is hundreds of years ahead of anything we understand." The human ship does not just move fast or have better weapons. It exists in multiple quantum states simultaneously, allowing it to be in dozens of places at the same time. Quantum states. Valdris laughed bitterly. You are telling me these primitive humans have mastered forces that our greatest scientists cannot even imagine? It appears so, Your Majesty. Every attack follows the same pattern. The ship appears simultaneously at multiple targets, strikes with perfect precision, and vanishes before our forces can respond. Our weapons cannot hit something that exists in several dimensions at once. The Emperor collapsed into his throne, the weight of absolute defeat crushing his spirit. What of our subject worlds? Surely they remain loyal in our time of need. Brown and Davis exchanged uncomfortable glances. Finally, Davis spoke. 28 worlds have declared independence in the past 48 hours, Your Majesty. The Centauri rebellion has spread to 9 systems, and our colonial governors are abandoning their posts. Several species are forming their own defense fleets using our abandoned equipment. They smell weakness, Brown added. Word has spread across the galaxy that a single human ship is destroying the invincible Vorthak Empire. Our reputation for strength was the only thing keeping many worlds under our control. Valdris buried his face in his hands. The empire that had taken his ancestors 3 centuries to build was crumbling in a matter of weeks. Worse, he was powerless to stop it. Every strategy failed, every fleet was destroyed, and every day brought news of more disasters. Suddenly, Captain Emma Clark's voice filled the throne room, broadcast through every communication device in the palace. Her words were calm and clear, but they carried the weight of absolute authority. Emperor Valdris. I know you can hear me. Your war machine lies in ruins. Your fleets float dead in space. Your subjects have abandoned you. Look around at what your arrogance has cost. Valdris lifted his head, staring at the speakers with a mixture of fear and rage. What do you want from me, human? Justice. For every diplomat you murdered. For every peaceful world you conquered. For every innocent species you enslaved under your banner. You built an empire on cruelty and called it strength. I can give you money. Valdris shouted desperately. Territory. Technology. Name your price and it is yours. The only price I will accept is your complete surrender. You have 6 hours to broadcast your unconditional surrender across all Imperial channels. Accept responsibility for your crimes and submit to Earth's justice. And if I refuse? Clark's voice turned cold as the void between stars. Then I will turn your capital world into a cloud of glowing gas. 6 hours, Emperor. Choose wisely. The transmission ended, leaving the throne room in absolute silence. The 3 most powerful people in the Empire stood frozen, each lost in their own thoughts about the impossible situation they faced. General Davis was the first to speak. Your Majesty, I formally request permission to begin evacuation procedures for all civilian populations. The war is over. No. Valdris roared, jumping to his feet. The Empire does not surrender. We will fight to the last ship. With what ships? Brown asked quietly. Your Majesty, we have lost 90% of our military fleet. Our remaining forces are scattered across the galaxy, too afraid to engage the enemy. Most of our subject worlds are in open rebellion. Davis stepped closer to the throne, her voice gentle but firm. Your Majesty, continued resistance will only result in more death and destruction. The human vessel has shown it can destroy entire worlds if necessary. We must think of our people. Valdris looked around his throne room, seeing it clearly for the first time. The golden walls that had once represented the glory of his empire now felt like the walls of a tomb. His ancestors' portraits stared down at him with disappointment, knowing that he would be remembered as the emperor who lost everything. Slowly, the ruler of the greatest empire the galaxy had ever known sank to his knees on the marble floor, finally understanding that some battles could not be won through force alone. The broadcast began at exactly noon, Imperial Standard Time. Every communication device across the Vorthak Empire came alive simultaneously, carrying the voice and image of their once mighty ruler to billions of beings throughout the galaxy. Emperor Valdris sat hunched on his golden throne, looking like a broken old man rather than the terror of the stars. His voice shook as he spoke the words that would end 3 centuries of imperial dominance. People of the galaxy, I am Emperor Valdris of the Vorthak Empire. I speak to you now with a heavy heart and the weight of my failures upon my shoulders. Captain Emma Clark stood on the bridge of the UES Indomitable, watching the transmission with her crew. Around her, officers who had fought impossible battles maintained their professional composure, but she could see the relief in their eyes. The war that had seemed endless was finally reaching its conclusion. I hereby surrender unconditionally to the forces of Earth, Valdris continued, each word seeming to age him further. Our attacks on human diplomatic vessels were unprovoked and criminal. We believed ourselves superior to all other species, and our arrogance has brought ruin upon our empire. I accept full responsibility for these crimes and submit to human judgment. Lieutenant Oliver Stone looked up from his navigation console with amazement. Captain, we are receiving surrender signals from Vorthak military units across 17 star systems. Their remaining fleets are powering down weapons and requesting instructions. Clark nodded but kept her attention focused on the Emperor's broadcast. She wanted to hear every word of this historic moment. To the species we have conquered and enslaved, Valdris said, tears now flowing down his face, I offer my deepest apologies. No words can undo the suffering we have caused, but perhaps our defeat will bring you the freedom you deserve. To my own people, I have failed you as your emperor. The glory I promised you was built on the bones of innocence, and now we must face the consequences. The transmission ended, leaving the galaxy in stunned silence. For the first time in 300 years, the Vorthak Empire had admitted defeat. Clark turned to her communications officer. Ms. Harper, open a channel to all systems. Full spectrum broadcast. Channel open, Captain. This is Captain Emma Clark of the United Earth Navy. The Vorthak Empire has surrendered unconditionally, and hostilities are now ended. However, there is something important that the galaxy needs to understand about what has happened here. She paused, choosing her words carefully. What she said next would shape humanity's relationship with the rest of the galaxy for generations to come. The UES Indomitable was not humanity's greatest weapon. It was merely our first test of defensive technologies that we hoped never to use. For centuries, Earth has watched as aggressive empires conquered peaceful species across the galaxy. We chose isolation not from fear or weakness, but from a desire to avoid unnecessary conflict. On screens throughout the galaxy, beings of dozens of species watched with growing understanding as the truth was revealed. The quantum fold technology that allowed our single vessel to defeat an entire empire is now standard equipment on every ship in the Earth Defense Fleet. We possess weapons that can reach any point in the galaxy instantly and defenses that make us effectively invulnerable to conventional attack. Chief Engineer Robert Bennett's voice came through the ship's communication system. Captain, we are receiving acknowledgement signals from every human vessel in the Hidden Fleet. All ships report ready for full deployment if needed. Clark smiled slightly. It was time to reveal humanity's greatest secret to the galaxy. What the Vorthak Empire never understood is that humanity has not been hiding from the galaxy. We have been protecting it. For 200 years, our hidden fleets have been quietly stopping wars, preventing genocides, and eliminating threats that would have destroyed entire civilizations. We are not conquerors. We are guardians. She gestured to her tactical officer. Mr. Williams, display the protection protocols. Lieutenant David Williams worked at his console, and suddenly the screens across the galaxy showed a map of human operations throughout known space. Red markers indicated prevented wars, blue markers showed stopped genocides, and green markers revealed eliminated threats. There were thousands of them. Every aggressive species that has mysteriously lost ships near black holes, every tyrant who died in an unexplained accident, every war that ended suddenly with the defeat of the aggressor. That was humanity, working in secret to maintain peace without revealing our capabilities. Admiral James Mitchell's weathered face appeared on a split screen beside Clark. Captain Clark speaks the truth. Earth Command has authorized full disclosure of our operations. The Age of Shadows is over. Clark turned back to address the galaxy directly. To those species who choose the path of peace and cooperation, humanity offers friendship and alliance. Our technology, our protection, and our support are available to all who seek to build rather than destroy. Her expression grew serious. However, any species that chooses conquest, slavery, or genocide will face the same fate as the Vorthak Empire. We have the power to be anywhere in the galaxy within minutes, and we will use that power to protect the innocent. Emperor Valdris appeared on screen one final time, looking ancient and defeated. Captain Clark, I accept all terms of surrender. My people will pay reparations to every species we have harmed. Our military forces will be disbanded, and I will stand trial for my crimes. Accepted, Your Majesty. General Davis will serve as interim administrator for former imperial territories until proper governments can be established. Earth vessels are already en route to begin the transition process. As the historic broadcast ended, Clark looked out at the stars with satisfaction. The galaxy had learned an important lesson about the consequences of unprovoked aggression. More importantly, it had learned that sometimes the greatest strength came not from the desire to conquer, but from the will to protect those who could not protect themselves. The UES Indomitable began its journey home, carrying with it the promise of a new age where peace would be protected by those strong enough to ensure it. The single human warship that had brought an empire to its knees had changed the galaxy forever.